Hello, and welcome to Mean Street News. Mean Street News is here to provide accurate news to help citizens affect change in their local government and beyond. Being nice is overrated. It is time to be real. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. The time to step up and step in is now. So please come join me, Katie, over on Mean Street News to discuss Ohio politics and beyond. I hope to see you there. Hey everybody, and thank you for joining me today here on Mean Street News. If you're new, my name is Katie, and today we are continuing an investigation, but we have some new and updating news that happened in Lorain County this week, and I wanted to, just share that with all of you and go over the allegations that were made. So I think this is going to be a little historic just because the fact that a standing prosecutor was just charged, the prosecutor, J.D. Tomlinson, was just charged for bribery, intimidation, and tampering with evidence. Now, these are trumped up charges. These are charges that are retaliatory in nature. And I also think it is a great example of election interference, not engineering, election interference from a different department. And today I'm going to just, take you through my thoughts, why I think, this is election interference and this is to hurt his campaign, and how I think he's going to get through it. I think he's innocent. J.D. Tomlinson is a Democrat, and you all know I am Republican, but like I say, purple people eaters, and I want who's good for the job. I want a leader in any position that is going to think of the people. He's not going to think of themselves or their political, retaliatory, little vengeance that they need to get through, not their own political purposes, not their own business purposes, but somebody that's going to think of us, the people, and ultimately at the end of the day, what, that's all that matters. If you're going to have, somebody, in office that these people back, that works in the same office, that is okay with, how am I going to say this? That is okay with going after a sitting prosecutor. Like, you have the sheriff's office filing charges against a sitting prosecutor a week before early voting starts, 35 days before an election. And the person that is his opponent, that is running as a Republican, is really, I believe he is a Democrat, based off of his voting record that I went over with you. Here, I'm going to pull it up, just so I'm not talking out the side of my mouth. Hold on. Still his voting record. Here we go. Based on this, his opponent's voting record, as you can see, he voted Democrat in all of the off elections. The generals, they don't show, which is what that X means. But if he voted Democrat sorry, I can't read this if I don't have full screen. If he voted Democrat in the 2020 election, probably voted for, the problem in office right now. And in 2016, he was still a Democrat. So I'm assuming he's a never-Trumper, which I don't really care if you're never-Trumper. It just, I think it's inauthentic because you want to run against J.D. Tomlinson, and your party wasn't going to back you in that race, to then pull a Republican ballot in 2023 to run as a Republican, even though I truly don't believe Tony Silva is Republican or even libertarian at that. I think he's a leftist. Now, I believe J.D. Tomlinson, in my heart of hearts, is a a Democrat. He owns that, but I think he's more libertarian than you know, I would say moderate. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't care R's and D's. Like, that's never been my thing. My biggest thing is lying, for one, to the voters and not telling them who you are. Like, I would tell people I'm a new Republican. I would own my stuff, but also it's lying because you wanna, you know, go back into the office that you've been in for 30 years. And you want that control back, and Lorain County doesn't need to go back 30 years, but also that's why R's and D's don't matter. It's purple. Politicians are purple people eaters. They all work together, and they should work together. We should come together. We should be bipartisan on some things. You know, the best deal, and I tell this to everybody, the best business deal that you can make with somebody is one where you both leave a little unhappy. You know, you got what you needed, you got what you wanted, but you're both a little, you know, that's a good deal. You know, you got a good deal at that point because you both walked away with something and you both can compromise. Compromise is a huge thing right now. I'm going to start this video off with just, you know, just a couple clips, probably a totality of 5 minutes. I'm going to comment maybe in between here and there, but I want you guys to hear from JD before I get into the trumped up charges against him. And I want to start with this as it's easy to convict somebody that in the public's eye. It's easy to smear somebody. You know what I mean? It's easy to, you know, attack people's characters and tell people what you think of them. And I don't know JD Tomlinson. I think I've talked to him a total of 2 minutes in my entire life. I will say this, I've never voted like for D's on an R ballot in a general election ever in my life, but I think that's what needs to change in our county. I think that needs to change in Ohio. I think that we need to start looking at these candidates and who is best for the job. I'm done. It's an illusion of choice, D or R. That's what it is. It's an illusion of choice. Now, are my political ideologies very, very conservative? Yeah, you can ask. I mean, I am pro-capitalism, pro-drilling, pro-guns, Second Amendment right here, defend the second, you know. I am, but this is corrupt. What's going on is corrupt, and this all ties into my RICO, and that's what we're going to go over today. So let's stop talking, and talking at you, and let's get to my first video I want to show you. Oh, this one I have to share my screen, so I'm going to exit real quick.
Thank you.
Can't let Bernie Moreno anywhere near.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Jim. Well, you know, we wanted to have a little longer of a conference, but letter. We're just want to say that we're very comfortable with the evidence that we have. We look forward to our date in court. We are innocent. We are innocent. Jim,
well, we are absolutely innocent of these charges, and we will prove that in about 3 weeks.
I thank you for being
Do you think that the visiting judge was misled
How?
Mr. Howard.
in finding probable cause?
But he didn't find it.
Oh, he hasn't found it yet.
In filing the charges?
Oh, in filing the charges.
Yes, in filing
well,
the charges.
he just hasn't heard all the evidence.
Okay.
But he
Yeah.
will.
You're up for re-election this year. Do you think this will affect your campaign?
No, I think we're going to win. I think people see through this. I think they see the timing. They know the players, involved, and I think they can see it. I'm looking forward to the election.
So pretty serious allegations in these charges. I mean, 3 felonies that you're facing.
Right.
What can we expect going
The truth.
forward?
The truth. And evidence.
Yeah,
That hasn't been heard.
We'll have hard evidence and testimony.
Election interference by a desperate group.
But we want to thank you, everybody, for coming. We wish we could stay a little more, but I think you'll be able to see it in the courtroom. Fair enough? All right, everybody.
Thank you.
First came out, you made a statement, and I basically fell over everyone trying to get it. What did you say when you first came out of the courtroom? Innocent?
Well, I am innocent, so I may have said that. I had a lot of supporters here, so I don't know exactly what I said. I wish I could reiterate it, but I don't know exactly the comment. But I'm glad you didn't fall.
There was an allegation that it was in some of the documents, and again, I'm just starting to get up on this. All this is very new information.
You know us as well.
I understand. So that said that you had put your hands on one of the alleged victims, that you had struck her or shook her.
Right. There was no striking, but the evidence will.
Was there any shaking?
No. The evidence will. We can't talk too much about our case right now, but we will. The evidence will.
It's a very inflammatory thing to be
Sure.
I wanted to give you
I
a
think
chance to
all
respond to
these
it.
allegations are inflammatory. I think they're meant to be that way.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Did you catch it at the end? They're meant to be inflammatory, and I agree with them. They absolutely are meant to be inflammatory. The day that the charges were filed, hold on, I gotta delete this stupid thing 'cause it's gonna bother me and it slows down my internet. Stop the screen. Okay. The day the charges were filed was the same day the candidates were going to be, I believe, the same day or maybe the day after. It was a CHIP candidates night at Lorain High School, and they he had a debate, not debate. It's the discussion with Tony Sillo, his opponent that I was speaking about earlier. And we're gonna watch how JD opened this because I just appreciated it. To be honest with you, I was like, "Yeah, you're opening up strong here. He's gonna just take that. It just shows how he's gonna handle this right head on."
And we'll begin with Mr. Tomlinson.
Thank you. Thank you, Chip, for having us. I want to thank everyone for attending. I also want to address the elephant in the room. About a day and a half ago, Jim Burge and I were charged with manufactured crimes, and we will be exonerated. I wanted to make that clear. I also want to thank my supporters for your continued support. You don't know how much it means to me. I'm going to win this race, and here's why. We've gained results in Lorain County, and here's how. Since I've taken office, Lorain County, the crime in Lorain County has gone down. That's what I was elected to do, and that's what we've done. For example, the city that you're sitting in, Lorain, murder rates have been reduced by 50%. 50% since past years. In addition, we've increased at the office the high-level felonies by 12% of successful prosecutions. We've increased the successful prosecutions of sex offenses, felony sex offenses by 26%. We've solved cold cases that were sitting around from the last administration. And my proudest moment, we exonerated Nancy Smith and Joseph Allen, people that did a combined 40 years of prison for crimes that never occurred. Justice is what we do in my office. Thank you very much.
Justice is what we do. I thought that was great. It was a great opening. He's very confident in the trumped up allegations against him. And I really just appreciate it. I got one more for you before we start getting into what actually happened here. And it's quick.
Tomlinson's ex-girlfriend, who used to work for his office. Our Kaitor K has more from Elyria Municipal Court.
I realize that this is an unusual situation in that Mr. Tomlinson is an elected official.
Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson and his Chief of Staff James Burge before a visiting judge Thursday. Their case, alleging tampering with evidence, intimidation, and bribery, surrounds a woman who used to work for Tomlinson. The two started dating in 2021. Court records allege that in August 2023, after the former employee brought a concern to the prosecutor office's chief of civil division, Tomlinson, quote, engaged in disparate treatment by disciplining her. She says Tomlinson grabbed her by the shoulders, shook her, and threw her onto a couch, and also held her employment over her head. Court docs say the former employee resigned the next day and 2 months later received a $100,000 settlement. This settlement resulting in a public record suit and a taxpayer suit. The court docs allege that Tomlinson and Burge harassed the former employee to backtrack her allegations.
We want to respect this order to the letter. We just want to say that we're very comfortable with the evidence that we have, and we look forward to our date in court. We are innocent. We are innocent.
We are absolutely innocent of these charges, and we will prove that to you.
With the charges coming out just 2 days ago, Tomlinson and Burge asked the judge if their arraignment could be continued on a later date so they have time to get attorneys, and the judge set the continuation for October 16th. Meanwhile, Tomlinson is running for re-election in November and appears unfazed.
Appears so basically, Captain Vansant of Lorain County Sheriff's Department filed charges against the sitting prosecutor this week for intimidation, bribery, and tampering with evidence. Now, Vansant claims, based on some news reports that I read, and believe me, I heard just little mimickings that, somebody wants to sue me, this, that, another thing. I don't say something without a document. You guys have seen my big, thick binder. You guys haven't really physically seen it because I want to get it to the appropriate authorities before I publish my timeline, and which you guys starting to see it on my website. But I have a 45-page timeline with evidence that is about the book this thick that correlates to the timeline in chronological order regarding my radio investigation. And this ties the radio investigation, and you'll see where I'm going here. Captain Vansant is the one that investigated the radio. Well, we went over his investigation, and I quotation investigation because it was a big joke. It was a way to paint a narrative that has been occurring here between these players. And when I say these players, I mean Commissioner Michelle Hung. I mean Sheriff Stemeti, Captain Vansant. Now he got added to the murder board, which I call, my murder board. People are probably gonna think I'm crazy, but I gotta show you my murder board. You guys, I've been teasing you all with it. My murder board, Vansant's now right here. And Battistelli is right here, right? And we're going to connect her to my murder board. She's part of my RICO now because I think they are trying to extort the prosecutor's office. Captain Vansant did the investigation. Sheriff Stemeti has been asking since 2023 for a special prosecutor to investigate Commissioner David Moore and Commissioner Jeff Riddell, rescinding a $7.7 million, what I believe, corrupt contract. It's my theory, based off the evidence that I have compiled over the last, about a year. I got Young Republicans was, it's over a year. Oh God, I have no idea. Anyways, this is my spare time project. So that I've been collecting for over a year. And then the last 6 months, I really kind of went ham on this investigation. I actually started giving up my nights and weekends because this is not the only thing I do right here is this investigation. This is not my full-time gig. So the Sheriff's Committee has been asking for a special prosecutor to investigate Commissioner Jeff Riddell and Commissioner David Moore rescinding a $7.7 million radio contract that I believe was corrupt. And he has been incessant. And he's been mad at the prosecutor, and this is why JD's on the murder board. He has been mad at the prosecutor for saying, I need evidence. And we're going to read a couple of those today. But Michelle Hung began this investigation, Will started colluding with the sheriff and conspiring with the sheriff regarding, and yes, it's a conspiracy theory for those that watch this and like to say I'm a conspiracy theorist. This is a conspiracy. Conspiracy is a crime. When you collude and create a plan with associations and people to extort and bribe and retaliate under the color of law, under the color of official right, which is your authority as a office elected official, office holder, you absolutely can be conspiring. So these people conspired to extort the prosecutor. Now, Michelle did it before. Not in the last year, well, not last year, the year before with the CCI contract, when she mentioned twice, and she mentions this investigative report, that she mentions 2 times that she has a videotape. And I'm not going to, if you've watched this before, you know what the videotape is, I'm not going to pound, you know what I mean? And when the prosecutor was like, well, were they consenting adults? She said yes. He said, not my issue. You know what I mean? Like that's between consenting adults. But she made sure to say in the sheriff's investigation, radio that Vansant did, working with Vansant, that she knew of this tape and she had told Tom Williams of this tape, and that Tom Williams was trying to get it. Tom Williams never got it. Nobody ever got it. But I will say Vansant saw it because he put the dates of the video in it. I also know from sources, and I'm not going to reveal who, but a county official, not in our county, has seen a copy of it. And I'm going to wait to reveal who until the investigators actually go down that path. So they had this tape that didn't work, right? So they want a special prosecutor, and they're like, how am I going to do it? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And Vansant, Captain Vansant and Battistelli, based off letters that I read from the prosecutor himself to Sheriff Stimeti informing him of his employees' behavior, they've been talking for a minute. There's some kind of there's an academic relationship there. I would like to see his records. About this close to requesting his cell phone records myself. Which is why we need the authority. We need a higher authority to get involved here. They started, going after not just Battistelli, but this woman, Ember Coner, and she admits that herself to J.D. Tomlinson via text message. They start questioning his girlfriends, trying to paint him as a abuser based off of this woman's accusations. Jennifer Battistelli, previously her surname is Santiago. I've known who Jennifer was based off of just my friends that knew who she was for about, I don't know, let's see, I was 16, but 20 years. And the person that I know, and people grow, people move on, people whatever, but the person I know just wasn't a great person. She also a little money hungry. She targets men with money, and we all know those types. I'm not really get into who she is because I don't really feel that's even necessary. I'm just going to focus on what she says. But she, I believe, was kind of put up to the shenanigans that she started. For one, because these 60-second clips started coming out about Tomlinson. Earlier, July is the first one. July was the first one that came out, and then from July to now, these little videos and they don't show anything. You don't see him accosting her. You don't see him hitting her. You don't see him. You don't see anything. And I'm the type of person where if you are going to accuse somebody of assault, that could, and this assault could ruin their life. Just the allegation of it alone can ruin their life. It ruin their career, ruin relationships maybe that they're in. put them in the public circus and make people, like we all know, look like nutter butters, attacking them, that haven't spent appropriate time investigating. You can tell me you're an investigator all day long, but you're getting your documents from either people running or a sitting commissioner, and the only one that's not a male, and the one that wants a special prosecutor. So you're following the narrative people are painting for you. I don't do that. People can try to put me with somebody, but I'm not. But anyways, I've spent hours doing this, hours of my nights and weekends, because there's something going on here. And I think Jennifer Battistelli was kind of put up to what she's been doing now, or she did it to later, sue if something went wrong, or, and this is the third option, to manipulate her, to manipulate or try to put the prosecutor in a position where she can leverage this over him to stay with her because she wants to marry him. She said even after all this in 2024 in January, when she no longer worked at the prosecutor's office and whatever, was messaging his mother saying, I want to marry your son, I feel so bad for your son. And I'm telling you this, all while that lady was sleeping with other men. You know what I mean? You can say this person sleeps with somebody else. I don't care who people sleep with, but like, she was sleeping with other people, he was sleeping with other people. Prosecutor Tomlinson is a single man. And now that he's up for election and he's not doing what the sheriff wants him to do, they are pulling these crazy ladies out of the woodwork to accuse this man of assault. And I'm sorry, in the society that we are in today, and especially after the Me Too movement, not that it wasn't a good thing, but we need to protect our men as well. I'm not that woman that is like, gonna look at another woman and be like, you're just a horrible this, that, and other. You know what I mean? I don't really care about Jennifer. And I have no personal grudges against anybody. What I do care is that I believe that Jennifer was a part of trying to blackmail the prosecutor. And I believe right now she's interfering with an election, and it's what a coincidence that she does it now, right? That now that they're no longer ever probably going to be in a relationship again because she's crazy. And we've all had those relationships where, you try to make it work and whatever. You actually care about the person, but they're having some issues. And this lady's had some issues, and we're going to go over that today. But she also is friends based off of Facebook messages and me talking to, other people that are associated with her that know her very well. She's friends with these characters that are trying to blackmail the prosecutor. And when, the blackmail didn't work, the extortion didn't work with these tapes, and she violated it. But my squirrel moment, she violated her settlement agreement, by the way. Want that money back, Jennifer. When she didn't start getting her way in a relationship, she started to, not act in the best behavior. And then she has this attorney who's a little questionable. And I went over the timeline. I got her employee record. I went over the timeline of her complaint. And there's questions there, and I'm going to prove that to you today via her record, or employment record, that no news station has decided to ask for. And I think they would be shocked if they did ask for it, because she's saying, she came to Dan Petticord with some complaint, and, it wasn't addressed. It was addressed immediately. But anyways, she's helping extort the prosecutor. She's helping to blackmail him. I think the Captain Vansant has been the center of all of this. I think his behavior is not only retaliatory personally, but retaliatory on behalf of the county sheriff. I think the county sheriff isn't getting his way, and got his budget cut at the beginning of 2023. He was really upset about that, and then 2 months later starts investigating the board, even though Commissioner David Moore asked him to investigate in August of 2021 and December of 2021 over this rigged bid and corrupt contract that Commissioner Michelle Hung and Commissioner Lundy passed on the last day in power, and he refused. Now, Commissioner Moore told on herself this week, and I want to share with you how that my theory, my conspiracy that some people like to say, is accurate. My conspiracy theory is based off of evidence that I've compiled. And I don't appreciate you coming in, to this one person. I'll never name you because I'm not going to give you that credit. But I don't appreciate the lies that you've done about me. I don't attack people the way that you do. Your behavior is ugly. God don't like ugly. I spent a lot of time. I have children. I do a lot. I have a job. I'm running a business. I've spent countless. I've been sitting on the beach. I spent my whole summer on the beach with documents, reading, and I don't take the phone calls, and I really don't take much from sources, just because when one person says something and then somebody else says something and then you start the telephone thing, and I just never like that. So if I can't back up my claim with a document, I usually don't. I don't really veer that way. So, but this is different. So what I'm gonna show you how Michelle messed up this week. And she admits that the prosecutor is not looking into stuff that her and her friends have recommended for him to look into. The prosecutor hasn't given them what they want, so she doesn't have a prosecutor. Now I go look.
County Commissioner Michelle Hung says Tomlinson has repeatedly refused to look into issues she and others have raised, and believes Lorain County does not have a prosecutor. Fellow Commissioner Dave Moore says the timing of the charges are suspect. He calls the situation bad for everyone and says it paints the county in an unflattering light.
She said it. She said it to the news. He hasn't, he hasn't, assigned a special prosecutor to investigate my Republican counterparts, Commissioner Moore and Commissioner Riddell, because they rescinded a radio contract. Commissioner Hong set that's all she did. That's all she did in office, was push this contract for Harry Williamson and her. And I don't know what they got from it. That's why I need somebody, bigger than me, bigger than them, to be able to subpoena and these records. And I think, that's exactly what we're going to get. But I will tell you this, you're not going to see that happen in a week. You're not going to even see that happen in 30 days. And if that does happen, none of us are ever going to know about it, because it would be under a secret, and you're not going to ever know anything until it happens. But don't think that, you've gotten away with anything to all these people. And you all know who you are, and I've named them in articles and so forth. This is a RICO. You've not only bribed somebody, but you've extorted somebody. And then when you couldn't extort or bribe those people, you retaliated against them. That's 3. I only need 2 things for the RICO. That's 3. Then let's add the conspiring. You all conspired with associations. AFL-CIO, Mr. Atkins, you're best friends with Harry Williamson. Who's the one that was rigging this bid? Captain Vansant, you apparently investigated it. I spent 4 hours altogether going through your 22 pages and dissecting it. You were corrupt. And you know what? A couple bad apples always makes an organization look bad, the entirety of itself. And I don't think, and I'm going to tell everybody this right now, I do not think that the safety forces in Lorain County are all corrupt. No. But I think we have some bad apples. And I think those bad apples have also hurt the people that work in those departments. Because if they're doing this to a prosecutor, what do you think they do to their employees? What do you think they do to, people that, kind of irk them, piss them off? If they are willing to go after a sitting prosecutor for an issue with an ex-girlfriend, a lying ex-girlfriend, and she's a liar. She's a documented liar. She has done this to other men. And I am not that woman to go against women and say that somebody wasn't abused. I have friends that are victims of domestic violence. But you know what? It takes a woman to say it sometimes. That there are those women that are just crazy, you know what? And they will do everything to destroy your life. I know a few men that like the crazy ones, and they just, and a couple of them, they almost got their lives destroyed because of the lies. So there's a few bad apples. I sympathize with any victim of domestic violence. I will never sit there and say that when you know, somebody deserved any type of treatment. But if you are the aggressor and you are recording your person that you love, the person that you want to marry in an intimate moment, and then after you sue him, he forgives you, whatever, sue the county, he forgives you, whatever, they move on about, you know, a little over a year late, not a year, it was like 6 months, whatever, later, they move on, whatever, he gives her a second chance. She then uses that opportunity to record, you know, use the old recordings from that time where they weren't doing so well to extort more money from the county. I mean, it's just wrong. So let's go over Jennifer Battistelli's claims. Make sure I'm not muted this time. Hello, everybody. Good evening, all my late night people and whoever joins me tonight. I'm here again. I didn't want to be, but apparently when I was talking about going over Jennifer Battistelli's EEOC case, and which is the woman that is making the claims of the video I just played regarding our Lorain County prosecutor, I was muted the entire time, well, kind of randomly on and off. So tonight I am just jumping on here for a quick, probably 30 minutes, so I can edit that video and upload it to my podcast platforms. I want to get that out to my followers there. I do pretty well on the podcast platforms. Tonight I'm just going, like I said, I was muted, so I'm just going to redo the Jennifer Battistelli for those of you that are listening to the entire video. I'm sorry for those of you joining me tonight. Thank you for joining me, and I guess I'm saying we're just going to get into this because I don't want to, you know, lapse too much and get people confused in the middle of my show. So we started earlier today when I was talking about Jennifer Battistelli. We started with the EEOC complaint, the EEOC's Equal Employment Opportunity Center, I think. Anyways, it's like if you have a complaint against your employer, you can file a complaint with the EEOC. They oversee businesses and stuff like that. So in layman's terms, but we're going to get right into it. So what I did is this time, I'm going to share my audio. I'm like an idiot, like last time. I just didn't click a button and I didn't even realize it. So we're going to go here. Tap share audio. Entire screen. Share audio. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm sharing my audio because, like I said, last time it was not good. Okay. I'm going to go in the corner. So you'll still see me, I just won't be. Oh. Anyways, let's get to this. So here's the EEOC complaint. You can see the date it was sent to Dan Petticord over at the prosecutor's office. So it was October 10th, okay? And this is what I wanted to, you know, also point out is people probably think she filed this when she was actually employed. And there's some falsehoods in this statement. So the date of the discrimination took place, she said the earliest was July 1st. And then the last time was September 15th. Now, I want to be clear, she resigned from her employment on August 16th of 2023. So she's saying she was still being discriminated against after she no longer worked there. So that's not a thing. You didn't work in the office. So that's the first thing I noticed when I looked at this. So we're just going to read. Just so you, the public, knows, and then I'm going to give you my points in between. She says, I worked for the Lorain County Prosecutor's Office for approximately 2.5 years as its Director of Public Relations and Community Outreach Coordinator. During my employment, my supervisor, J.D. Tomlinson, pursued and fostered a romantic and sexual relationship with me. So be clear, after her employment. Throughout this relationship, I felt that I needed to comply with Tomlinson's desires or else I would lose my job. In arguments over the nature and future of our relationship, Tomlinson indicated to me that he did not view my job as necessary with the county and that I was required to do whatever I say to do. And like I said earlier, that is from the video that the Chronicle posted. She released in starting July of 2024 this year. These 60-second clips came out of the prosecutor and her having a shouting match. I don't want to say altercation. What I did notice in one of these videos, and this is why I'm pausing because it pertains to my whole tie to this, is he said, I'm not comfortable, for one, before I start this, you can't, from a 60-second video clip, you can't establish context. Like, you don't know what that's from. And two, she's the one that had to have leaked these tapes. They were from her phone. She recorded them. And then that brings me to my question. Why would you be recording your fights like that if it wasn't for somewhat of an ulterior motive? People can say because she was a domestic. She wasn't. She's the aggressor. And we're going to get into that. One of the clips that she turned into the Chronicle was from December 22nd of 2023. And that's the video where he's saying, I'm sorry, I ruined your plans of nothingness, and just not comfortable, pretty much referring to like comfortable going out with certain people. And then she's like, well, why didn't you tell me? He's like, why would I tell you? And I think it's because there's a lack of trust there. You know what I mean? And then she gets off the couch, and this is like the last probably 2 seconds of that clip, of the clip where they're having a fighting match before you see him yelling at her, like, what did I do? She gets up off the couch and she starts walking towards him. And this is when you start like seeing him. And it looks like, he says something to her, and it looks like she goes to lunge towards him, and then the video cuts out. And then all of a sudden it cuts back in when you see Tomlinson standing by the front door, pretty much saying like he's gonna go. Like, why would I, same thing. Yelling is not always appropriate, but like, let's be realistic, people. We all, me and my husband get into it, not on like a regular basis, but everybody yells at times, and sometimes it's ugly. But the fact that this woman claimed that, she was abused off of those clips, is just wrong. And we're going to get into that. But I wanted to point that out because, she's trying to set up a narrative of abuse, and she's helping the, Captain Vansant, right now, I'm not saying at this point, use these videos from before the settlement agreement, by the way, before the settlement agreement to now paint the prosecutor in a light right before the election as an abuser. So, and when she was working, before I continue, when she was working at the prosecutor's office, she was never, she never made a complaint of harassment, even at the time of this discrimination complaint. There's nothing in her employee file that I got these documents from that states that she felt sexually harassed, you know. Our relationship had been used as a basis to deny me appropriate pay raises or job transfers. So I was like, oh, is that true, right? So I pulled her employee file. We're going to go to that real quick. And I wanted to show you here. She got a good performance review in January of 2023. And in that, when she got that performance review, there was a note put in her employee file by the chief of staff, Jim Burge, who was also facing these trumped up charges. I think his is just this. He only got charged with 2, and I want to say it was intimidation and tampering, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But he only got charged with the 2 of the 3. But this is what he says. On January 30th, 2023, he goes, "You're hereby authorized and directed to pay a $2,000 bonus to Jennifer Battistelli for work performed in 2022. So she said she didn't get, you know, appropriate pay. Then if you continue, and I don't want to go through it because there's like socials and stuff like that, but I do have the document, and it's uploaded to my Google file. So if you really want to see it, you can. But she was increased about yearly, and an appropriate increase at that. She was making decent money, and it was appropriate for her job title. And she did have, you know, he didn't just hire this woman and say, like, you don't have any roles, you know, in your job. She had roles and duties, and there's a job summary right here. Usually when you hire somebody, you give them essential duties and responsibilities. She didn't have any supervisor responsibilities, and this is just, I'm not going to read them because it's not necessary, but she was given, when she was hired on December 2nd of 2021, she was given a list of duties and roles and what was expected of her. So let's go back to the EOC complaint. I'm sorry, jump around, but I want to just explain it while I'm going through it. As a result, I was the victim of sexual harassment. Our relationship had been used as a basis to deny me appropriate pay raises or job transfers, as we said. We just explained that. As Tomlinson said, he wanted to make sure no one had any reason to find out about our relationship. Just based on my conversations with people that have worked in that office, and people that, you know, people talk, people know everybody knew that they were hooking up. But I will say this, is Jennifer wasn't the only probably woman, you know, it was one of those on again, off again things. Probably wasn't the only woman that JD was hooking up with at the time. I'm not going to sit here with a calendar, and I really don't care. At the end of the day, our prosecutor's a single man. We don't expect him to be celibate. So he's going to have relationships. Now, we've all known those type of, we all known those women that get a little, you know, and, you know, some guys are just attracted to the crazy ones. And I know a couple of my guy friends that have been in relationships with these women that just make up they break up with them, and then they make up these claims, and they like literally almost ruined one of my friends, like one of the people I know, a friend of mine, literally his livelihood, like almost got him put in prison based on false allegations. So they're out there, and I really have this feeling this chick, and this is my theory and my opinion only, is this chick is one of them. I've known of Jennifer for 20 years, and just because I have mutual people that we've known, I've never talked to her or spoken to her, but believe me, people talk, and I don't really judge people on that, but it's starting, just based on my research, it's starting to fit, you know. So she's saying I was sexually harassed, whatever. So she said at various points I attempted to discontinue the romantic sexual aspect of this relationship and maintain only an employer-employee dynamic, most recently in August 2023. Well, in August 2023, she was there for 15 days. And this was in the midst of this allegation, and I'm going to show you that here shortly. But so you guys ended your relationship, and you were there. So for the 15 days, you're trying to say, like, you know, it was an employee, but you threw a fit and walked out on August 6th, I believe it was. But we're going to get to it. When I did this, Tomlinson became exceedingly upset that I was not communicating with him via telephone and text. Well, then that makes me think. She storms out of the office, and we're going to go through the timeline that was in her employee file. And then she's not answering texts and calls. Was that because she was supposed to be at work? Now, I also had a question. Is that the recording that she leaked to the press, which is a violation probably a violation of her settlement agreement, because she wasn't supposed to disparage the prosecutor in any way based on their relationship in that settlement agreement. And we went over the settlement agreement in the last episode, and I explained why, you know, it's really this settlement agreement, people want to be like $100,000 and this and that. He probably made his decision based on what his attorneys advised him to do, for one. And he did it thinking, you know, if I take this to court is great. We're just going to say that. I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to explain it to you people. You all know. You all watch Law and Order, where it's like you're supposed to be guilty and they're innocent, you know, whatever. There's a bunch of different factors when it comes to, and I have family personally that's been through that. There's a bunch of different factors when it comes to, you know, if you want to settle something or if you want to pursue a legal case. And he really saved us some money, and he didn't put this on he didn't file it with Corsa, which didn't put it on our insurance. It came out of his budget. He really kind of just replaced it in his budget, because he didn't replace her. He just ended up distributing her duties to other employees. And I know people think it's like an issue, but I really think he really did the best. Now the commissioners, and I want to just get in this real quick. The commissioners approved the payment based on the attorney Tomlinson's appointing authority. Okay, but those two, you know, Tomlinson and the commissioners aren't the ones that cut a check. After the commissioners, checks and balances in government, after the commissioners cut the $100,000 check, Auditor Todd Snodgrass and even the budget director could have flagged that payment if there was something. Hold on one second. My daughter just got home. I got to tell her to be quiet. Sorry, my daughter just got home from the barrio in Lakewood. She went to get tacos not after the game, but whatever, after halftime. So what I was saying is, after she got the settlement, which we discussed in the last episode, people like to say that, you know, the prosecutor and the commissioners, will approve this payment. Even the one commissioner, Commissioner Michelle Hung, who was a part of this whole trying to get a special prosecutor assigned for the last 2 years, said like she thought it was an attorney's payment, which I call BS. You know, that payment after the commissioners approve it goes to Auditor Todd Snodgrass. No, Craig Snodgrass. I always forget his first name. Snodgrass, our Lorain County auditor, and he could have easily flagged that payment if he thought that there was some kind of inappropriateness going on. He could have, asked questions. He could have, even if he felt like, the way that they set up the payment structure, which isn't, unheard of, he could have easily stop that and, approached commissioners, approached the prosecutor, and this money came out of the prosecutor's budget as well. And like I said earlier, he covered it. So my thing back with the via telephone and text is, I think she didn't show up to work, and I'm going to go through her little chart that says what days she called off and whatever, and I'll let you know what I get there. And also he accused me of flirting with other men. Tomlinson, directly or through instructions with others, would insist that I always be available to answer his requests or calls. Well, maybe if she's working from home, he might have said that. I was an administrative assistant when I started working for my family's, my uncles, my grandfathers, and then my uncle's company, a family company. Well, not like our families, but it was a family company. But when I started working for my uncle's company, I was an administrative assistant, and he'd call me all the time. I mean, he called me at random all the time because he needed to know something. He was working on something, and that's just kind of the deal. I know we're not on salary, but if she had an issue with it, she could have easily set up that line. And, part of her job description is that there's going to be, incidents outside of work that you're going to have to be available. So I don't think it was a possessive type thing that she's trying to put in here. But this whole thing right here, she never, again, I'm going to repeat this, she never claimed sexual harassment while she was working there. This didn't come out until 2 months after she resigned. Now, I do want to bring this up. Usually when you resign or you quit, you are not eligible for unemployment. Like me as an employee, my uncle as an employer, when we got somebody that quit, we got the paperwork from unemployment that says, basically, do you want to, contest this? Is this appropriate? They answer all those stupid questions, right? We would contest it because you quit. We're not obligated to pay your unemployment. I don't think people understand how unemployment works. Like the employer's paying that. So yeah, I would contest them all the time. I'd be like, you walked out, you resigned, you quit, we didn't fire you. You know what I mean? You're not eligible for unemployment if you just walk out the door. That's not a thing. So, but the whole time she was working, she never claimed sexual harassment. And we're going to go through the discrimination complaint I'm about to read here. As this was ongoing, I approached Dan Petticourt's Civil Division prosecutor to express my concern about race ethnicity discrimination. More specifically, I told Petticourt that I believed that blank investigator was improperly discriminating against blank, a Hispanic employee. Blank had previously resisted hiring blank and paying her appropriately because, in his words, she was ghetto. For one, she's not HR director. I'm going to stop right there. She's not HR director. She doesn't know what people get paid. And she's assuming that wasn't part of her role. When blank was forced to hire her anyway, he physically segregated her from the other similarly situated employees in office performing the same job. In response to my complaint, Tomlinson and office employee Jim Burge collectively targeted me by 1, accusing me of filing a false complaint, 2, preparing a document for my personal file indicating that my complaint was untrue, and 3, requiring that I sign a retraction authored by Burge. She signed the statement willingly. The employee denied ever stating that Battistelli that she was discriminated against. She literally said, I never said that, and I'm going to show you right now why this is false. So then on August 15th, she said, this is where she goes and says, oh, he pushed me, he yelled at me, grabbed me, shook me. But I'm going to tell you, Jennifer Battistelli has a history of being an aggressor towards her partner, and we're going to go over that Avon police report from 2019 when she threw a fan at her husband's face. But she wrote an email to HR on August 16th, not this date, but August 16th, and said she was resigning and to inform Tomlinson and Burge. She didn't put in that email that she's resigning because of this statement that she's claiming right here. She didn't say that she was resigning. She didn't file a complaint that day with the EEOC or even within that week. She waited till 2 months after she left. The prosecutor resigned willingly. The prosecutor's office that she decided to file filed this complaint, and as you can see, it's pretty false. So I want to see. Hold on one quick. So here we go. We're gonna go to the timeline. Okay, so in her employee file, there was a timeline of what happened, and this is usually done by like whoever investigated it. I used to do this all the time when we would have somebody in the office talking about an HR issue. I'd be sitting there taking notes, each day that we talked to them about a certain issue. I would note it just because I would add it to the document, just because when, later down the road something happens, I can refer back to that employee's file and say, well, we have it documented that this date, that date. I mean, I tell my husband this all the time, like, you need to document everything. If you did something extra, put it down, because you just don't remember stuff like that sometimes. And you always want a piece of paper that, verifies your story. Now, this was filed in her employee file, so we're just going to read it. This document is to memorialize an unfounded complaint of discrimination alleged by Jennifer Battistelli against Garrett Longacre. Listed below is a timeline of the incident with commentary. July 24th of 2023. Battistelli approached the Civil Division Chief, Dan Petticord, and expresses concerns that Longacre is discriminating against a subordinate. Battistelli claims that blank is being discriminated against. She is not in the advocate office with her peers. On July 5th of 2023, Petticord speaks with Longacre and advises the discrimination complaint. Petticord states that Battistelli blank was concerned that blank was being discriminated against. Longacre explained that blank was being treated the same as blank, another advocate. Longacre explained that blank was learning from the job and blank and from blank, and that her cubicles were next to each other to aid in the training. Longacre further advised that there was not an empty desk in the advocate office, and that this was an issue that would be worked on later. Petticord stated that he understood and that he did not believe that Longacre had discriminated against this person. Okay, so Dan Petticord is approached by Jennifer Battistelli. She makes this comment. The next day, Dan Petticord sits down with the supervisor and says, hey, this complaint was made against you. What's going on in this situation? Pretty much like trying to gauge what is going on. After the conversation, when it was explained to him, makes sense. And he's like, okay, well, I don't think you did. Like this is pretty cut and dry type thing. But he still had to send it up the chain. Not send it up the chain. He still had to address it in some way, right? Well, 2 days later, the supervisor ended up meeting with Tomlinson and expressed his concern about the complaint of discrimination against this employee. Longacre stated that he did not discriminate against this employee and was concerned about the allegations and the reputation that it could create for him. And he's right. The allegation alone of discrimination can hurt your reputation. Tomlinson stated that he did not believe Longacre would discriminate and stated that he would speak with Battistelli, which he did the same day. The same day, Tomlinson speaks with Battistelli. Okay? And this, again, what's going to happen here is it's going to show how well, don't be slow. Just open the door and go. Do you have fun? All right, I'll talk to you when I'm done. Love you. Are you going to be up for a minute? Are you going to be up for a second? All right, I'll come talk to you when I'm done. If you're asleep, love you, night. July 27th. So Tomlinson talks with Battistelli. Now, her reaction says a lot about her character and is another example of how Jennifer reacts in certain situations. And, it's very telling because then the next one will be Very telling. She has a pattern. People have habits, or people are creatures of habit, and I think this is a habit for her. So immediately after the meeting, Battistelli comes to Longacre's office and appears agitated and hostile. So after JD talks with Battistelli in the office about her behavior, she immediately goes to this supervisor's, not her supervisor, but this supervisor's office, and decides to kind of confront him. Battistelli states that she spoke with Petticord on this employee's behalf and that she was not the one who alleged the discrimination. Longacre advised Battistelli that she was being untruthful. So Longacre said, "I don't believe you. I don't believe your story. This is, whatever he said." Battistelli immediately states that she believes that Longacre is targeting her and makes the statement that she does not believe that they could work together. So the second Jennifer Battistelli is caught in a lie, she immediately claims that that she's being targeted, that she's the victim. She immediately then tries to manipulate the situation. And I've met people like that. And it's ridiculous. It's gaslighting. This is, people always say gaslighting, and I know, Chris, you hate that word, gaslighting. But that's gaslighting. It's pretty much like, I'm just going to try to confront you and make you, and make you look like you're guilty, even though I'm the one lying. So she says he's targeting her. He makes the statement that she does not believe that they could work together. Okay. She's like, I can't work with him, even though they don't. Longacre tells Battistelli that he works for Tomlinson, not her, and that he does not have to interact with her to do his job. Now, again, when the video with the, I know I'm jumping, but this is relevant. The Chronicle video, one of the 60-second videos, it was summertime, because you don't see their faces, but JD's wearing flip-flops. I really wonder if that was the time, because he said, you think you run the office and you don't, you know what I mean? Like, you don't run the office. And he said a couple of these other comments that were listed, but I think it's after she ran out of the, I just think this is about the same time. I just think that I just have this feeling, this in my gut that was that video. And it kind of makes sense because she started shit at the office, and she's getting a little too, he feels she's getting a little too big for her britches, and people get like that, a little bit of power, people go crazy. And those in pursuit of power are powerless. Battistelli immediately states that she believes that Longacre is targeting her. She storms off. Longacre tells Battistelli this works with Tomlinson and that he does not have to interact with her to do his job. Battistelli leaves the office after raising her voice at Longacre. So she storms off. She gets mad, she's yelling, and she leaves, okay? So from this interaction, a complaint is filed. And I want to just show you so I'm not talking out of the side of my mouth. Complaint is filed against Jennifer by Longacre, the supervisor for victim advocates, and something else. I forget what it is. So 7/27/23, they filed a complaint, so it's now going to be investigated. Making or publishing a false, vicious, or malicious statements concerning employees. Statements of fact, Battistelli made a verbal complaint to Chief Petticord, civil, alleging discrimination by Longacre against a follow-up by Resendez and Burge revealed that the employee never alleged the discrimination. She got a written reprimand, and it was finalized after all the investigation was done, everything on 8/11/23. Apparently it was first addressed in 8/8, and then they wrote a letter and had a meeting, or they probably had a meeting or something about it, Go back to the time. Here we go. So August 2nd, a few days later, Longacre meets with Burge and Resendez and expresses concerns about the allegation of discrimination against this employee. Burge and Resendez were brought up to speed on the situation. Longacre requested that Burge and Resendez speak with the employee and start an investigation if warranted. Longacre stated that if the employee did not allege the discrimination, Then he wanted to know why Battistelli made the false complaint. I think that's completely reasonable. August 3rd of 2023, Burge and Resendez speak with the employee regarding the discrimination complaint, and the employee states that she does not feel she's being discriminated against and that she did not have a problem with Longacre as a supervisor. She expressed that, the employee expressed that her interest in having her desk in the same room as the other advocates and being part of the team. The employee stated that she never told Battistelli that she felt discriminated against. August 4th, so this is huge. I should have highlighted that probably. The employee stated that, she stated that she never told Battistelli that she felt discriminated against. August 4th, Resendez informs Longacre that the employee did not feel that she was being discriminated against, so he was going to be closing up this investigation more than likely. Okay, so there's the timeline of events that happened. That now Jennifer's claiming in her EEOC complaint that this was still going on when she resigned, and it wasn't. It was finished up. And so in that timeline, I said that, in the EEOC complaint, she said she was forced to sign a statement. No one can really force you. But, 5 days before she resigned, 5 full days, she signed a complaint. So it was a subject complaint against me. And she said, I was given a complaint against me written by Gary Longacre, the supervisor of the office investigators and the victim advocates. Mr. Longacre complained that I said victim advocate blank was being discriminated against by him, and that my statement was made to Dan Petticord, the chief of the civil division. Later, Blank told Jim Burge, chief of staff, that Rich Resendez, deputy chief of staff, that she didn't say Gary Longacre discriminated against her. What I got from Blank in our conversation was that she didn't feel like she was being made part of the team because she has a desk outside of the office and wasn't being moved. The point of what Blank was saying is that she felt that she was being treated differently from the other advocates. At least that's what I understood. Now this is important. When I was talking to Dan Petticord, if I said the word discrimination, it was not the right word. If I said the word discrimination, it was not the right word. Jennifer Battistelli. And I don't see VC next to her name that says, sign an address. I don't see I don't see any notes marked. Nothing. So usually when, this happens, your manager, if you're in an office or director, will write a statement to whoever they follow up with and let them know what is going on. I want to be clear because people have made this claim. JD Tomlinson, the prosecutor himself, is not really her reporting supervisor. The prosecutor hires a chief of staff and a deputy chief of staff, and the chief of staff and the deputy chief of staff really kind of run the office day to day. And what JD does is he's more of a the deputy manager. He's more of a director, administrator. He makes sure if he needs to get involved in something, he does, but he's more of a not upfront interacting with the employees the way that you would think. Probably, yeah, but not really. He's a administrator. So technically, Jennifer Battistelli's direct supervisor would be the deputy chief of staff, and then the chief of staff Burge, which is why the two handled this complaint. So Jim Burge ended up writing a statement to Prosecutor Tomlinson to follow up and let him know how his conversation with Jennifer Battistelli went and how the ultimate conclusion to this mess. So same day, August 11th, 2023, I was given a complaint against, from Jim Burge, JD Tomlinson, regarding the Longacre complaint against Jennifer Battistelli. Let me take a drink because my throat's dry. I have reviewed the complaint made by the supervisor, Longacre, against the outreach coordinator, Jennifer Battistelli. In this complaint, Longacre complained that Battistelli in a conversation, I don't know who that is. I think Longacre complained that Battistelli in a conversation with the Civil Division Chief, Dan Petticord, told that he, blank, was treating, that Longacre was treating the victim advocate, blank, in a discriminatory fashion. I interviewed VA, blank, and asked her if she felt as though Longacre had discriminated against her in his role as her supervisor. The employee responded that she didn't believe Longacre had acted to discriminate against her in the course of her employment. She stated, however, that she felt as though Longacre treated her differently from other advocates because her desk is outside of the victim's advocate office. Jim Burge explained to her that because the victim advocate, blank, whatever that person's name was training her, this employee training her, blank, and because this person's workstation was outside of the victim advocate's office, the arrangement made sense. She was advised that her circumstances could change after her training is complete and when this employee approaches her expected retirement date. Based upon my review of the matter, Jim Burge's review of the matter, I find that the miscommunication between this employee and Battistelli resulted in Battistelli making a statement regarding Longacre's management of Barrios that was untrue. I further find that Battistelli's subsequent conversation with Petticord regarding this employee, Barrios, was inappropriate and contrary to office policy. Battistelli has been instructed and cautioned. So she was guilty of making up this lie. And then when she did make up the lie and she was confronted by the supervisor, she threw a fit and left the office. And, you know, like he says, he kept calling and texting. It's because maybe she wasn't answering. And like I said, that's my theory right now. I'm going to go into her employee record and I'm going to see what date she called off, her full one, and see if that lines up. Because if it does, that's really interesting. So one thing I did notice, and I just want to touch base on this real quick before we go into another example of Jennifer Battistelli's, I'm just going to downright say it, rage issues, because I think she has a little bit of rage issues. I think she's an aggressor. I think when she gets mad, she can't control herself. I mean, she did it once. She did it here when she was confronted with her lies. She lost her shit. It immediately tried to confront not her supervisor, but the supervisor of that section of the office, and then stormed out when she didn't get her way. I think she was mad. My thing is, I think she was mad that JD did, and JD states this in his letter I read last episode. She was mad JD didn't get involved. She's mad that JD didn't say, yeah, Jennifer, wasn't in the wrong and she didn't lie. Like these girls like that are like that, and when he didn't, she resigned, she quit. She was like, oh, my back, this, and then the drama starts, and then, it's a whole thing. I've met a lot of women like this. But she had a huge challenge in 2023 when she said, describe like a problem that you faced in the past year. She said, I had a huge challenge with working with other women from different departments, not wanting to share my events, but we learned to work it out and I allowed people to help me, leading to a successful event for the trustees. So she apparently has some issues working with other women. I could probably have called that, but I think she triggered some people. But based on her behavior here, saying that, during August 15th, this whole thing happened about me quitting, I really think it stems from Jim Burge, disciplined her, made her sign that letter. I think she was mad. I think she thought that would say, and no offense, she looked like a liar to the entire office. If you don't think in offices people talk, like she looked like a liar and she was upset about that. And when JD didn't, when she asked JD to correct it and he didn't, I think she just resigned and quit. And then, when she didn't have money, she and from what I heard from a source, and I don't use sources that much, like I said earlier, but I'm gonna let this one leak. She was approached to pursue this suit, and I think she needed the money. Like I said, I would wonder if she got unemployment benefits from this, because if you usually resign, you're done. You get a check, and then she could have been worried about some money issues, but Dan Petticord did the right thing here. And it wasn't just like one person looking over this. You have Dan Petticord, you have JD, you have Rich Resendez, and you have Jim Burge. You have 4 people that have and then you have the employee that's not even related to those people that claims that this never happened. So you have 5 people in total saying that this isn't a thing. And I think she got painted as a liar, and she didn't like it, and she left. So I am going to close this now. I want to show you another example of why I believe that, Jennifer has some issues with relationships, and issues especially attacking the men in her relationship when she doesn't get her way, or when she's upset, and she has a problem with some self-control. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because it's a pattern of behavior. Okay, people are creatures of patterns of patterns. People don't really change too much, and this is a great example of a behavior pattern here. So in 2019, May 26th at 8:55 a.m., it was a Sunday. They were called to a domestic altercation, okay? And at the time, Jennifer was placed under arrest for domestic violence. So I'm going to just read this, and we'll comment as we go. On Sunday, May 26, 2019, at approximately 8:55 a.m., this officer and I were dispatched to this place where the husband and wife, there was an domestic altercation between husband and wife. Dispatch advised that the husband, blank, was stating that his wife, Jennifer Battistelli, had threw a fan at him and struck him in the face. You can't make this stuff up sometimes, I swear to God. So she threw a fan at the guy's face. That's healthy, right? Healthy. So this officer was the first to arrive on the scene and was speaking with the victim inside the living room area. And then this other officer made contact with Jennifer inside the front door and asked her to explain what happened. And speaking with Jennifer, he learned that her and the husband had been married for 17 years and had been living there for 2 years. Jennifer stated that they had 3 kids, whatever. One was in the house during the altercation. Jennifer explained that she had just filed for divorce this past week and stated that the relationship between her and her husband had been deteriorating. Jennifer explained on this date she woke up and she was upset. And look at, she was upset about she was upset. She's upset. What does she do? As she feels he does not carry out any of his responsibilities around the house. Jennifer cited the fact that her ex-husband has not taken care of the grass and stated she was upset this morning because her ex-husband had not let the dogs out. I further learned that her and the ex-husband sleep in separate bedrooms upstairs. Jennifer stated that the ex-husband called the police to try to just get her in trouble. You know, she didn't do anything wrong. She indicated that he is just playing games and to try to make her look bad for the divorce proceedings, victim mentality. Jennifer further stated that the ex-husband is an addict and abuses pills. So then she defames him, right? So you gotta make him look crazy. You gotta put this on him somehow. Jennifer stated that she just went into the room upset and threw a box fan, you know, because that's normal. I asked Jennifer if she meant to throw it at the victim. Jennifer stated she did not attempt to throw it at the victim, but just in the general vicinity of the victim. As she was upset, he hadn't gotten up yet. So I didn't mean to hit him with the fan. I just threw the fan above his head, and his face happened to be there when it landed. I was upset, so I just decided to throw the fan in his direction, and it hit the wall above him, and, you know, too bad for his face. This is not normal behavior because he didn't cut the lawn. So, you know, Chris, you're lucky you cut my lawn today because, you know, maybe you know, I'll chuck a fan at you. You even hung a couple pictures I wanted you to hang. You know, I'm just trying to make it a little light. Anyways, I asked Jennifer if she meant to throw it at him. Jennifer stated she did not attempt to throw it at her ex-husband, but just in the general vicinity. As she was upset, he hadn't gotten up yet. So he didn't get up. I'm mad. I'm going to throw a fan at you. Jennifer stated that the ex-husband got up and attempted to push past her. Now, she says push past her with his arm. He was trying to get the hell away from her. You know, he's probably like, you know, I'm stuck in a room with this crazy bitch, just her fan at my face. Jennifer stated that she put her right forearm up in defense as to push away. So you see what she's doing there? Now, she doesn't say it, but you see what she's doing there? Oh, he came at me, okay? I asked Jennifer if she felt her ex-husband was trying to cause physical harm to her. Jennifer indicated she did not believe, but believed the ex-husband was just trying to get her out of the way. Well, why was he trying to get you out of the way, Jennifer? Were you coming at him? Were you in his face? Were you acting irate over a lawn not being cut, him not being out of bed, even though you just filed for divorce? That's crazy. That's crazy lady behavior. Jennifer denied ever striking her husband in the face as he claimed by him. After speaking with Jennifer, I met with the other officer to discuss what the husband had told him. The other officer indicated that the husband was alleging that Jennifer had thrown the fan at him and struck him twice in the face. Now, struck him twice in the face, okay? Then he adds to it. I asked the other officer if there were any visible injuries to the husband's face. However, he indicated that there were not. The other officer further explained that the husband wished to pursue charges against his wife. So this guy that she was married to for 17 years is so done with it that that takes somebody a lot for somebody to do. And from what I hear about this guy, he's a decent guy. I know he worked at the Ford plant, so I know people that worked with him, that he was a decent dude. You know, so to drive him to do that, it took something, right? Any husband, nobody wants to press charges on the wife, you know, and nobody wants to do that like she beat me, you know, as a man. Like, nobody wants to do that. But I think he was done with the behavior. I don't think it was new behavior, just my assumption, my theory. I explained to the officer what Jennifer had told me, and ultimately, based on Jennifer's actions, it was determined that she was the primary aggressor. She was the primary aggressor. Jennifer was shortly thereafter placed under arrest by the officer for domestic violence. The officer transported Jennifer to the Avon City Jail while I remained on the scene and obtained a written statement from the husband. Prior to the husband completing the statement, I asked him to show me the bedroom in which the incident took place, and the husband brought me up to his bedroom where I observed a bed and a nightstand next to it. On the foot of the bed, I observed a white box fan. The husband indicated that the box fan had initially been kept on the nightstand directly adjacent to the head of the bed. However, the husband stated Jennifer came into the room and grabbed the box fan. The husband advised Jennifer proceeded to walk towards the bedroom door before turning around and throwing the box fan across the bed, striking the drywall above the head of the bed. The husband alluded to a small black mark on the drywall that was said to have caused the box fan. The husband further pointed out a broken piece of the box fan near the head of the bed, from which I observed. So he's confirming the fan was in that area. Just too bad his face was there, right, John? Chris stated that the box fan then ended up at the foot of the bed. The husband believed that Jennifer was attempting to throw the box fan at him. Photographs of the bedroom and fan were obtained. I asked the husband what transpired after the box fan was thrown, and the husband stated that he got up and began walking to the hallway. The husband advised that Jennifer was attempting to provoke him. So she was probably, you know, talking shit in his face. I mean, I can just see it now. The husband mimicked what he alleged Jennifer was doing by poking himself in the face. So she was poking him in his face. That's not... The husband stated that he had then contacted 911. After obtaining the husband's written statement, I went back to the PD to complete the necessary paperwork. The husband arrived shortly thereafter and signed the charges. The husband also requested he be contacted upon Jennifer's release from jail. The husband was provided with the victim's rate sheet prior to his departure. And he probably wants to get out of there. Like, the above supplement is a summary of my involvement and should not be considered all-inclusive. So this was 5/26/19. Yeah, domestic violence. Now she ended up pleading and pleading this down to, I think it was like a misdemeanor or something, but here are the pictures. You can see there's the box fan. So Chris, you better not get a box fan of the face. I just found this interesting. There's another Avon Police report in here, and it was about this weird story, right? So apparently she called the police in August of 2021, okay? This is right before she was hired as in the prosecutor's office, because that was December 2nd, 21. So right before she was hired, and she called the police and said the safe was stolen from her, right, in January, earlier that year when she had moved, that she put it somewhere and it was stolen, that she had $90 savings bond, a birth certificate, she valued that as $1, $3,000 in cash she said she had, $300 in gold jewelry. So the female called AV reported theft. It happened sometime between January and today. She did not have any idea the suspect when exactly the safe was taken. There are no leads. So she basically said she moved into a house at 23. Now he made notes that she noticed safe was gone. Now, she showed him the basement, and he said, however, there were miscellaneous belongings that there were being stored in the area and no empty spot where the safe had been supposed to be. The basement also did not appear to be ransacked like initially stated. Jennifer advised that she did not know who could have taken the safe. Jennifer was very upset, so I left a statement for him so she had some time to think about what was in the safe. So she goes on her basement and says, yeah, here's where the safe was supposed to be, and there's shit all over there, apparently it wasn't there. Well, it was money. And, the officer did ask her, are you going to claim an 828 when he called back? Because she never got back a hold of him with the statement or anything. She just kind of let the whole thing go. Said she was, busy. He did ask her, are you going to try to, he said right here, said, I asked Jennifer if she was going to try to go through her insurance company to get compensation. However, she advised she was not going to. I think she originally was, and then she realized her story was a bunch of bullshit, and that's insurance fraud. Again, I bring this up just to show character of this person. So she's making this claim of abuse that she had never previously claimed of, even though Jennifer Battistelli is the one with the history of abuse. In the history of being the aggressor, and a history of lying, and I think she's looking for a payday, and she's now suing the county for $350,000, stating that the prosecutor violated their agreement, their settlement agreement, by talking to the press about the tapes that were leaked. And those tapes came from her phone. They came from her phone. So I don't care what the story was. Nobody got your password, went in your phone. You know what I mean? And sent these little 60-second clips with no context to the paper. And then she's quoted commenting on, because she gave Dave O'Brien the date. She said it was December 22nd, one of the videos, I think the last one. And that's you talking to the reporter. Now, JD Tomlinson didn't come out and comment on any of these videos that were released. until the third time, I believe, the third video it was released. And then I think about a week, 2 weeks after that, he made a statement. But the settlement agreement was already violated by Jennifer. So does that mean Jennifer gets to pay us back $100,000? And then, you know, whatever it's costing us to pay for the attorney for the prosecutor right now, if we're going through this litigation, you know, it's crazy, which I don't think the county's paying for. I think that's separate, but I'm talking about like, when he went through the original settlement, like pay those fees and stuff. But Jennifer has been the aggressor this, in previous relationships, past relationships, and the zebra stripes don't really change too much over time. I believe, and my theory is, just because of like, you know, Vansant's story in the paper, you know, how he's investigating this $100,000 payment that was approved by the commissioners and then approved by the county auditor. I mean, it went through the checks and balances and it went through the appropriate streams. The sheriff's department is not the budget authority of the county and has no say in what they do with payments and how they make payments. If the way that they paid Jennifer was illegal in any way, the county auditor should have flagged the payments and should have then approached, you know, whoever approved it and whatever he needed to do. And he's done it before. He's approved even smaller payments. He's flagged smaller payments than that. This woman is, I believe, lying for a payday. And I would never, you know, accuse a domestic violence victim of not being a victim of domestic violence. But just based on her behavior in the past, her behavior when in regards to her story for the EEOC claim, I think she's looking for money. $100,000, people think that's a lot of money. It goes quick, especially when you're not responsible with it. And I believe that Jennifer Battistelli and Captain Vansant have colluded together in this. Captain Vansant needed her statement, and just like I'm gonna read you a letter here shortly where it's gonna show you that in the episode from earlier that I'm gonna clip in this episode into, just because I muted myself like an idiot. I think he needed her for the special prosecutor thing to go after, you know, JD for not ever, you know, assigning a special prosecutor for their radio investigation that was into David Moore and Jeff Riddell, other elected officials. And I think Jennifer needs money. So she said, you know, if I help you, that, you know, pretty much confirms my story here as a victim. But I don't think Jennifer's realizing, you know, your texts and messages can be subpoenaed. Apparently, Prosecutor Tomlinson, based on the letter that we read last episode and what I'm going to read here shortly, already knew that had seen the messages himself between Vansant's behavior with Jennifer Battistelli's hairdresser is completely inappropriate, bringing FBI agents, apparently FBI agents, I'm still trying to verify that, to Jennifer's hairdresser's house to try to coerce the statement of, you know, the prosecutor being abusive towards her. It's such a low thing. It really is. And I don't believe, there's not 1 ounce of me that believes that he's guilty. But I'm gonna jump off of this live because we're gonna clip this into my previous video where I was muted. But I'm gonna go forward in the original video. I'm sorry if I'm confusing all of you. And we are gonna clip it in, and I'm gonna read you those letters to show you that, you know, Vansant and the sheriff have been requesting a special prosecutor for 18 months. And they've tried various ways to get this, to investigate Commissioner Moore and Riddell rescinding a multi-million-dollar contract where the sheriff's office was going to be receiving $3 million. So there was something there. And when the prosecutor refused, to do that, to award them a special prosecutor because they didn't have sufficient evidence. It was already being investigated by the state auditor, supposedly, and others. It was also sent to the AGs that, and there was litigation going on that, between those three situations, you would have gotten a result. We're not going to duplicate that in the office. They went at him. They started investigating him. So the corruption here is coming from the sheriff's office. So right now I'm going to show you, we're going to read those. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here in regards to the special prosecutor. And I'm getting off here this live, but you guys enjoy your night. And sorry, it was muted for about, 40 minutes. I didn't even know it. I just didn't click one button and the whole thing went shh. But it was like literally the whole point of the show is Jennifer. I wanted to show you, just some evidence from her employee file about, the situation that had taken place. It just doesn't make sense. And the fact that, you have evidence to say such, the whole thing doesn't make sense. Or she lied. She was embarrassed. She lied. She left, had no money. And then this whole thing. And then I think it's not only no money. I don't think she had, I don't think she was with JD. And I think she was having a meltdown about that. Jennifer later, and I just want to bring this up before actually I hop off of here because I didn't earlier. Give me 2 seconds. My Wi-Fi is going out, but I'm gonna pull this up while I'm doing that. Come on. I gotta pull up this file real quick. I'm gonna share this. Give me 2 seconds. Add to stage. Okay. So, oh, where's my Tomlinson file, broski? Here we go. There it is. It's blue. That's why it always does that to me. So, the videos that she submitted to the Lorain County Chronicle were from 2022, 2023, before the settlement, before all of that stuff. These messages, however, are from, and JD provided these in a letter that I read last episode. He provided these messages to show that, in 2024, this year, Jennifer, she's upset about another woman that he's seeing, apparently, and that he should marry her. I'm not kidding. I can't get married for another 4 years with spousal support, money. Again, money, another pattern here, money, spousal support. This is between J.D. Tomlinson and J.D. Tomlinson's mother and Jennifer Battistelli. And she said, I can't get married, not 4 years, child support, you guys got to check this out, though. I'm not going to read all of them, but, she even says, I know sometimes I fail when it comes to, this is January 12th, 2024. I know sometimes I fail when it comes to JD. I just don't know how to navigate some of the stuff that goes on. My intentions are pure. Thank you for being a friend. He's really good today. We had to spend some time and talk. I think things are taking a turn, which means things weren't on a good churn, right? And this is January 2024. I don't think he was with her from the time they got the settlement up until after January. You know what I mean? I think they made up after that. He's doing really good to say this. They are not stronger than this, and we have the truth on our side. She goes, him and I may fight, but this is personal between him and I. I will get through this election. We are winners. And then what does she do? She said she helps, pretty much try to extort him in his office for money, based on this new lawsuit. And this new lawsuit then helps Captain Vansant, investigation, because if she complies with Vansant, who's been harassing her for months now, based on the letter that was provided by, that was to Sheriff's Committee on April 4th of 2024, there's conflict there, but that investigation that Tomlinson won, and that Vansant's doing, would help Jennifer Battistelli's lawsuit. So the two need each other. They're yin and yang right here. They both need each other. And you go to the website, you can check that out. But you guys have a good night. I now have to split this video and clip it. It's a whole process, but the podcast, this episode of her doing this in the past, this is repeated behavior. She did this with her ex-husband. I think she's a manipulator. It gets, and I think she has an issue with money as well, which is why she's trying to sue the county again, which gets me to the Vansant thing. Vansant and the Sheriff's Committee have been trying to get a special prosecutor to investigate the radio thing, right? When he's denied repeatedly, which, I'm going to share this. This is what we're going to do. I figured it out. We're going to go to Main Street. I'm going to show you these letters. And then we're going to wrap this up because I don't want to make this too long for people to be like, And like I said, I don't have any personal issue here, and I just don't think it's right. And I think somebody as just, being of the same sex sometimes, I understand crazy bitch, because I am one. a little bit, but in a good way. I'm tameable. Let's see. My files, I go there. So if you go here, if you go to Lorain County, and you click, I want to show you guys this while we're here. And you click Lorain County Files, it brings you to this page, right? And you click the Lorain County Radio Investigation documents. So we're going to go, I made a file for Tomlinson. So you can see very clearly, not that you're going to, but if you wanted to, this is more for, go away, guy. Okay. Me. Where's Tomlinson? I made a file for Tomlinson. You go right here. Open this. Come on. Here we go. Oh, shit. No, I don't want that. Okay, so we're going to go to the Battistelli file. And you will find all those documents that I went over with you. You're going to find right here, right? DV paperwork from Avon. The complaint letter is signed. Her entire employee record. Now I redacted it. I took out all the healthcare stuff and all the the Social Security and stuff like that, just because I don't. You guys don't need it. But what I also did was, you see all these letters here starting in, let's see, March of 2023. That's when the fire chief's letter to investigate the radio contract and to investigate David Moore and Jeffrey Riddell's rescission of that rescinding that contract. Vansant then subpoenaed for records, and when he subpoenaed for records, he got a response from David Moore, which I shared with the media yesterday, as well as another document. The conflicted interests that this department had in trying to investigate the new board of commissioners. I've read this before, but I just wanted to show you this letter real quick, especially right here. Another part of this is another example of the weaponization of your department by others. And this is from Commissioner David Moore, just to be clear. Another example of the weaponization of your department by others is that on January 9th of 2023, at a Lorain County Commissioners videotape public meeting, the Lorain County Deputies Association, the Sheriff's Association, President Adam Shaw called for an investigation of Commissioner Riddell, Tom Williams, and the undersigned, which is Commissioner Moore, in regards to the radio project. The Sheriff's Association is yet another shadow plaintiff in the CCI litigation against the taxpayers of Lorain County. To add insult to injury, a bevy of individuals have recently reported that the Commissioner Hung has been meeting with representatives from your department to provide false information to support her never-ending campaign to get CCI their multi-million-dollar contract at the taxpayers' expense. As your department is well aware, Commissioner Hung is a known liar and pled the fifth on multiple times during a federal deposition just last year, which she did. And she's a facilitator in all of this. Yet another abuse of power relating to this matter involves the same January 9th, 2023 meeting, Lorain County Commissioners meeting. Specifically, during the discussion of Agenda Item 21, your department representative complained about the undersigned cutting his department's budget by $500,000. This constitutes another conflict of interest between your department and its issuance of the subpoena. Many could perceive that your department is retaliating against the budget authority of the county due to either your department's position on the radio project and/or upset about how the county commissioners are allocating taxpayer funds to your department. Despite that blatant conflict of interest, we are going to comply with your subpoena. So I do want to point out this part too, though, is the foregoing reason your department has clear conflict of interest in regards to this matter. The county sheriff's conduct is problematic at minimum. Everyone involved in this subpoena is conflicted of interest, and that cannot be purged. The purported investigation undertaken by you, sheriff, and the sheriff's department, by you mean Captain Vansant, and the sheriff's department, completed by an independent agency, is already investigating the circumstances around the radio contract and the process and purchase of all vendors and participants. The Ohio Attorney General I don't know what that says. Blank, the appropriateness of all the actions taken by the county sheriff needs to be I believe be informed, I'm not sure. As a matter of blanket and identifying conflicts of interest. But he basically says Commissioner Moore to Detective Vansant and CC the Ohio Attorney General, the Ohio State Auditor, and the Lorain County Prosecutor J.D. Tomlinson this letter to Captain Vansant saying, like, this is inappropriate. You guys are conflicted here, and you're going to now start investigating me, another elected official, on behalf of, one of the board members that sits on my board. And, because you didn't get your way. It's the same thing saying it's the reason why the prosecutor got looped in. Prosecutor didn't want to get involved, and you can say, okay, you can prove that. I can. Ready? So Tomlinson writes a letter to Attorney General Yost saying we need, I'm not able, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but it says basically I'm going to read a little bit of this. So I have advised to the Board of Commissioners that I am unable to represent the board or its members in this matter regarding, getting a special prosecutor to help the sheriff's investigation, right? And I have advised the board member with whom Lieutenant Vansant requested a meeting to confer with private counsel. So he said, I told the attorney of the boards to get their own, I can't get involved in this. Based upon the foregoing, I'm requesting your assistance as special prosecutor to assist the sheriff with this investigation. He said, I can't get involved, but I'm going to request from your office to look into this. If you want to assign a special investigator, I request that you do that. Based upon the foregoing, I'm requesting your assistance as special prosecutor to assist sheriff. Not relevant to the above, but relevant to my circumstances is the fact that the same board members, so basically not relevant to my request, but I wanted to let you know, is the fact that the same board members who voted to rescind the contract for the purchase of the sheriff's radios also voted to reduce the sheriff's previously approved budget by $595,000. Another exercise of their discretion that prompted the sheriff to speak out at a commission meeting, which was the January 9th meeting. At the above commission meeting, the sheriff expresses anger over the commissioner's reduction in his budget, and as well their vote affecting the rescission of the radio contract. The sheriff was accompanied by several deputies, one of whom, when given the opportunity for public comment, called for a criminal investigation of the above two commissioners' votes to rescind the radio contract. When the commissioners were informed that I would be unable to assist them further in this matter, one of them asked me whether the sheriff is permitted to launch a criminal investigation of him each time he casts a vote that negatively impacts the sheriff. I referred the commissioner's query regarding the sheriff's conduct to you for your review. So Tomlinson got back and basically said no, right? They said you can't do it. So Tomlinson sat for a little bit and thought, what am I going to do here? What am I going to do here? And then after he told Sheriff Smetty, they said no. He then, a week later, writes to the sheriff and says, to follow up from a phone call, he says, thanks for the call back last Friday. It was great speaking with you. As I indicated to you in my last letter, I'm hopeful that we may be able to meet regularly in the future to better coordinate our law enforcement efforts. Thanks also for providing me with clarification regarding the scope of your investigation of the above CCI L3 Harris radio contract. Consistent with your remarks to the Chronicle Telegram, which is a paper out in Lorain County, and to me, my understanding is the purpose of your investigation is to discover the facts and circumstances surrounding the allegations made by Commissioner David Moore against Commissioner Michelle Hung relevant to her vote to accept the CCI contract. So they're not investigating the contract itself, like how this vendor, met with Harry and Michelle at the beginning of 2021 and came up with this plan to try to elicit multi-million-dollar contract and tried to use an retired police officer, Dana Golner, to create a shell company for a consulting fee of 10%. When that was denied, the owner of CCI then says, he tells the owner, Dana Golner tells the owner of CCI, I got all the votes, and at the time, Lundy and Hung were the ones that were voting, yes, nobody else was, so Moore wasn't, said if you increase the bid, that will also be accepted since you don't want to pay this 10% consulting fee because everybody has to get paid. He was quoted in the Chronicle saying that. He was quoted in Alan Close's lawsuit saying that. What had happened between 2021 and 2022 when the contract was passed? On the last day Michelle Hung and Commissioner Lundy were in power, is it went up from $6.45 million to $7.7 million. Were we getting anything more? No. Was there no more radios? No. It just, it increased. So everybody had to get paid. People were getting paid. If it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's not a zebra. I don't like zebras today. So, in the above regard, please be advised that with respect to this investigation, I have met with personnel from the Office of Auditor Keith Faber, including the attorneys who prosecute Auditor Faber's cases. Because I refer to Commissioner Moore's allegations to the state auditor for investigation, and for any prosecution that may follow, I find that the appointment of a special prosecutor to assist the state investigation at the county level would not be a prudent expenditure of taxpayer dollars. However, should any of your deputies somehow learn facts that would give rise to a criminal investigation, please advise I will continue to seek out a special prosecutor to assist you. So he's saying right now you're going after him for rescinding a contract. I can't for one, make a case to expend a special prosecutor to you, guy. Like I can't do it. You know what I mean? So let's see, what's this one? So then in October, so that was, I want to be clear, that was in May. So then 5 months later, Sheriff Smetty, and throughout the paper he says this, he's requesting again, I'm just going to read it. Let's go. So, Sheriff Smetty, dear Prosecutor Tomlinson, I'm petitioning you to request special prosecutors that the Lorain County Sheriff's Office can investigate claims that you have already indicated that the Office of the Lorain County Prosecutor's Office cannot be involved in based upon having a conflict in representing both Commissioners Riddell, Moore and Riddell, and in your capacity as Lorain County Prosecutor. So, let's see. So this is after they completed that investigation that we went over. He's now requesting again a special prosecutor, saying that this is sufficient evidence to prosecute. It wasn't. That document was full of flaws. We spent 4 hours going over 22 pages, and we read it ourselves, so we can say we read it. But the sheriff was using. Oh, my umbrella's gonna fall. Hold on. Oh shit. Little lake trick. If it's windy, just put it down a little bit, your umbrellas, and then we'll tip over. But Anyway, so the investigation was completed by Detective Vansant, then Lieutenant Vansant, now Captain Vansant, who's the one that filed the charge against the county prosecutor, and they want to proceed with a special prosecutor again, to request one again. Ultimately, this request was followed up by this. Dear Sheriff Smitty, in your letter of October 24, 2023, you request that I seek a special prosecutor to assist you in conducting an investigation of the vote by the Lorain County Commissioner David Moore and Jeffrey Riddell to rescind contracts previously approved between Lorain County and Cleveland Communications, Inc. You state the focus of your investigation will include issues raised in a complaint by the Lorain County Fire Chiefs Association, and as well issues raised in separate lawsuits filed by former 911 Director Harry Williamson and by CCI against Commissioners Moore and Riddell. First, as you point out, the issues you want to investigate are also the subject of 2 lawsuits now pending in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Ohio. In this regard, I have every confidence that the issues you want to investigate will be well vetted in that litigation. Second, on the previous occasion when you requested that I seek a special prosecutor to assist you, you didn't seem to know what you wanted to investigate. I say this for the following reasons. After Commissioners Moore and Riddell voted to rescind the CCI contracts, your Chief Detective, Robert Vansant, came to the grand jury with a subpoena to be served upon the Lorain County Information Technology Director. The subpoena saw copies of all email correspondence between the Commissioners Moore and Riddell. That same subpoena was accompanied by an email from Detective Vansant to Commissioner Moore advising that Vansant wanted to interview Commissioner Moore regarding a complaint filed with your office by the Lorain County Fire Chiefs Association. This complaint was aimed at the vote by the Commissioners Moore and Riddell to rescind the CCI L3 Harris radio contract. Obviously, because Vansant's inquiries were aimed at the rescission of the contract and the county commissioners who voted for it, I concluded that the focus of your investigation would be Commissioners Moore and Riddell. Next, I read in the Chronicle Telegram that you confirmed a telephone conference that the focus of your investigation was Commissioner Moore's complaint against Commissioner Hung and her vote to approve the CCI contracts. When I learned from you that you wished to investigate Commissioner Moore's complaint regarding Commissioner Hung and her approval of the above contracts, I advised you that this complaint had been referred to the Office of State Auditor Keith Faber, that his agents were investigating the matter, and that any prosecution arising from Commissioner Moore's complaint would be pursued by Auditor Kit Faber's attorneys. Because the investigation was already in capable hands, I wrote to you advising you not to duplicate the state auditor's efforts on the county level, and that I would not oblige your request for a special prosecutor to assist in a parallel investigation. After receiving my letter, you called my office and left a desperate-sounding voicemail message insisting that you need a special prosecutor. Notwithstanding your knowledge that the above investigation of Commissioner Hung was being conducted by the state auditor. In subsequent correspondence, I pointed out to you that a review of the county jail visitors log revealed that Commissioner Hung, the party who was allegedly the target of your investigation, had personally visited your office nearly a dozen times after the vote by the Commissioners Moore and Riddell to rescind the CCI contracts. Because I concluded that Commissioner Hung would not have been assisting you in your investigation of her, I concluded that your claim to have been investigating her was untruthful. Based upon the way that you have conducted yourself in this matter and others, I have concluded that you are not a law enforcement officer a prosecutor should trust. Third, as I advised you previously, requesting a special prosecutor to conduct a grand jury investigation is not a small matter. A county prosecutor would have to choose one of his busiest and most capable lawyers to assist us. While assisting us, important work in that prosecutor's own county is put on hold. Previously, 3 elected prosecutors and an Ohio Attorney General have balked at getting involved in these contract disputes, i.e. what they believe is a political battle and not a criminal investigation. I have presented your request as well to the same office of the state auditor that investigated Commissioner Moore's complaint against Commissioner Hung. The state auditor will not get involved. And they had 3 investigators. I mean, they didn't even really look at this stuff. It kind of sat on the auditor's desk, and I'm going to go right after him. And I think that was because, the sheriff had friends in that office. In order to request a special prosecutor, I would have to be made aware of some evidence that would create a reasonable suspicion of criminal activity on the part of Commissioner Moore and Riddell. To date, the only fact that has been generated is that these 2 commissioners voted to rescind contracts previously negotiated between Lorain County and Cleveland Communications, Inc. This fact is insufficient to warrant a grand jury investigation. If this circumstances changes, your request for a special prosecutor will be reconsidered. Respectfully, J.D. Tomlinson. Now, this is on 11/6 of 2023. Couple months go by, right? Let's see. Oops, sorry. And then we get the banger. Hold on. Sorry. Exit it out. Then we get this one. Oh, wait, not this one. This one, 4/4/24. So apparently on March 29th, in between this letter and that one was the big one that I read on our last episode of Mean Street News. And this was the letter where, J.D. Tomlinson just pretty much put it all on the line, right? He just put it all out there. He just said, this is what it is. Okay? And I'm not going to read this whole letter because I don't want to, bog you all down. I'm just going to real quick read the part that, pertains to Vansant and that I believe is pertinent to our conversation here, which is the Vansant part. And Silo. But I'm not going to read the Silo part today because I really don't want to. He's boring. So he says, again, requesting, and the common theme, special prosecutor, right? What did Michelle say? Won't special prosecutor. I believe you are, and won't prosecute certain things. I believe you're mistaken about it. This is April 4th, 2024. I feel, dear Sheriff's Committee, I believe you are mistaken about a few facts and about what can constitute sufficient cause to seek a special prosecutor. For example, when Captain Robert Vansant requested that I seek a special prosecutor to conduct a grand jury investigation of the facts surrounding the CCI Motorola contracts 3 years later, he claimed to be aware of the facts that would justify the appointment, including the cost of a special prosecutor. However, in order to make such a request prudently, I must present a fellow county prosecutor or state officer, attorney general, state auditor with an investigative report that would give rise to a reasonable suspicion, not quite probable cause, that some criminal offense has been or is being committed. Because Captain Vansant is either unable or unwilling to provide me with a report of the facts that he was gathered in support of his request for a special prosecutor, I have been unable to persuade anyone to take up his case. If I am not aware of any reason to seek the appointment of a special prosecutor, I cannot imagine why doing so would be good government. I hope that the foregoing answers your questions in regard to requesting a special prosecutor. I would agree with you, however, that the occasion could present itself when there exists not only a reasonable suspicion of criminal activity, but also a conflict of interest on my part that would suggest the need for a special prosecutor. So far, I have not been presented with that occasion. In your March 29, 2024 letter, you claim to have information that requires my application to the Common Pleas Court for its appointment of a special prosecutor independent of me to investigate my office. So after his Sheriff's Committee was denied throughout the entirety of 2023 and the beginning of 2024 that he would not get a special prosecutor to go after David Moore and Commissioner Riddell, he started to get a hold of Battistelli. Vansant started reaching out to Battistelli, and they started to recruit her to their activities, pretty much. And now they're going to open an investigation on our sitting county prosecutor. So we went over all this stuff, the examples of what he says that the prosecutor did, right? But I want to go to Robert Vansant, because Robert Vansant, Captain Robert Vansant of the Sheriff's Office, is the one that filed the charges against J.D. Tomlinson. He's also the one that conducted the investigation at CCI. So for the last 3 years, Captain Robert Vansant has got a promotion for investigating elected officials and spending all of their time doing political investigations and for contracts that were rescinded by the budget authority of the county. I mean, this is insane. You're a cop. You're not a commissioner. You're not a authority of any kind in the sense of government, like the government running. You're just, the sheriff's detective, which you should be, investigating crimes in the public, not crimes of elected officials. That's election interference, ladies and gentlemen. We have another elected official who hired the former chief division of criminal, whatever, prosecutor, Dennis Will. We have two people they used to previously work in the prosecutor's office that doesn't. Dennis Wills and Tony Sillo. Tony Sillo was hired in July of 2023 before he filed to run against J.D. Tomlinson as a Republican. You remember, he pulled our ballot in May of 2023 in order to run as a Republican. So he just I think he didn't think the Democrats would support him. So he's working in the sheriff's office. So is Dennis Wills, who's been helping Captain Vansant with the sheriff's investigation. And Dennis Wills, and this is why they're relevant, and I wrote this down so I wouldn't fuck this up, because sometimes I do, and I wanted to read it too. So J.D. Tomlinson ran for prosecutor against Dennis Wills in 2016 and loses the primary. He comes back in 2020 with more name recognition and wins the Democrat primary, beating Wills, Dennis Wills, who works for the sheriff's office now, to the consternation of hardcore Democrats, including Sheriff's Smitty. J.D. hires Burge, and Smitty creates a position for Dennis Wills in 2021 of January. Now comes Tony Sillo, who has a new young prosecutor, and takes offense that Burge is in the lead of the office. Sillo, was a part of the 40-year criminal case of people wrongly convicted Nancy Smith of the Hazard case. I'm not going to get into that because it's a bad case, but she was wrongfully convicted and he exonerated her, which upset the previous prosecutor's office. Now Tony Sillo is part of that previous prosecutor's office. I also know of people that have been railroaded by Tony Sillo. Sillo was a part of the Wills backlog of cases. He doesn't like the new culture of the prosecutor's office because they're actually getting stuff done, working together, working with other police officers. It's not just the good old boys club. That he quit. He started working for the Ohio Attorney Dave Yost, a Republican, in 2023, just for a little bit, and then in July of 2023 he goes, because he's going to come and run for prosecutor. He goes and works at the sheriff's office, and the sheriff gets a grant from the state and creates a position for him in that office and on the drug task force. So, and he was hired by the Democrat, Phil Smitty. This guy that's running for Republican because he's a Republican. Because he's a Democrat. He's not a Republican. Like I said, I don't care either way. I care that he's lying. He's just lying straight to your face, thinking we're too dumb to look up his voting record. And I don't like that. And ever since this, they've been for 3 years investigating this radio contract, trying to extort and bribe not only the prosecutor but others. I think Battistelli is one of them. I think she is a lover scorned, and she has a history of making up stories. She has a history of lying. She has a history of going after her husband of 17 years. She has a history of violence, which also brings me to one of the videos that she leaked, which was in violation of her settlement agreement. By the way, she wasn't supposed to do that, and now she's suing JD for violating a settlement agreement because he made a statement against her after the third video of him and her in a yelling match. And by the way, all of that occurred between 2021 and 2023 when she quit. Those aren't recent videos of today. And Jennifer Battistelli, after the fact, was trying to still get him to commit to her. So I think we have a woman that is a little off the rails right now and is upset about a man that does not want anything to do with her at the moment. So yeah. So we're gonna go to Robert Vansant. So Captain Vansant. Captain Vansant, who filed the charges against J.D. Tomlinson, has conflicted interests here. He has pursued Mrs. Battistelli, according to the Lorain County prosecutor, who has physically seen the text messages between him and Battistelli, Vansant and Battistelli, and has been very aware of Captain Vansant's behavior. And he now, in this letter in April 4th of 2024, lets us in on what's been going on. And we're going to read this again real quick. And just this last part, I'm not going to go into all the Silo stuff because I don't need to. But this is important because the guy that filed the charges against the prosecutor has been reaching out to his girlfriends. So is Tony Silo, his opponent, is reaching out to his girlfriends. Now, one of them, Ember, who's mentioned in here, now works for the campaigns of Silo and the guy running for sheriff as well, Jack Hall, and now is, pumping them up because she is another person that JD would not commit to. And again, he did not have a relationship with Ember before he was prosecutor. It was during his election, and afterwards they didn't see each other, but she approached him about an expungement. He told her to get an attorney, and I think she was a little peeved about that, to be honest with you. And just based off of Ember's mutual friends with me, I think Ember has some addiction issues. Just based off of mutual friends. You are in the group of the AA people, and that I've known for a lot of those people for over 20 years, which is just, what a coincidence. So I really have a hard time trusting I think I don't think the chick's stable enough to yet in her recovery to, be trying to, get in a relationship and all that, but it's none of my business. But she's all active on Facebook and laughing at all my stuff. She thinks I care. I'm gonna tell you this right now to all of you. I just don't. I'm not that person. I don't care how anybody feels. I'm just trying to get the truth out there because this is wrong. So, Captain Robert Vansant, Captain Vansant has been quite active, not only on your behalf, but on his behalf as well. Most conspicuous has been Vansant's relentless pursuit of Jennifer Battistelli. Vansant has called and texted her relentlessly in an effort to recruit her as a witness against me and for his cause. So he's trying to use Jennifer Battistelli as a way to he's trying to get Jennifer Battistelli to extort the prosecutor. Now listen though, Jennifer Battistelli only got $100,000, which isn't that much money. When people really think about money, that's not that much. Now she's going to the prosecutor for $350,000. My guess is the bitch is broke. She broke. So Captain Vansant wants to go after the prosecutor for not assigning a special prosecutor to his case to investigate Commissioner David Moore and Commissioner Jeff Riddell. Battistelli needs pay. She needs money. And chick needs money probably because $100,000 goes pretty quick, especially when you're out doing everything. You're not, you know what I mean? Spending money here, spending money there. People would be surprised how quick that goes. And I think she's looking for a payday. So both of these people are desperate for something, and they both are coming together to help each other and make false claims and lie against a prosecutor. And also, the sheriff's office, and I know this because my neighbor is a deputy, is campaigning for Tony, is putting yards and stuff for Tony Silo. So they're not for J.D. Tomlinson, some of these people, and Vansant, I guarantee you, is one of them. So is the other person that's trying to break the story. Like says the first one to break Duran. I talked about Fetterman in August of 2024. I also, right before he even said anything this week about, and nobody cares about Fetterman. So I'm just going to leave that there. So Vansant, in the above regard, I have been able to read some text messages Vansant has sent to Miss Battistelli. Examples include statements of his fondness for her and his disgust for me. Other examples include Vansant's request that she send nude photographs of her to him, and that she arranged to meet with him at his house when his wife Betsy was away. Most recently, Vansant began to stalk Miss Battistelli's former hairdresser, Alicia Quinn, desperately attempting to persuade her to say something about me that would corroborate his ill-conceived notion that I abuse women. In general, and Jennifer Battistelli in particular, Vansant's pursuit of Alicia Quinn was solely for the purpose of attempting to wrestle away some fictitious tale of infamy regarding my treatment of women. So, I have actually witnessed a ring cam recording of Vansant with two other persons that Vansant claimed to be FBI agents, standing on Alicia Quinn's porch and threatening to bring her before a federal grand jury if she refused to speak with them. After this confrontation, I was contacted by Miss Battistelli and asked for some avenue of relief. We contacted the local police. I am giving a strong measure of consideration to issue a ducis tecum subpoena for Vansant's personal and county-issued cell phones in order to corroborate what I've actually seen and have described to you in this letter. As far as Jennifer Battistelli's relationship with me is concerned, I will share with you the actual facts, which he does. He quotes this here, but we also have... I have to go back this way just so I can reopen it. I want to show you guys what I gave you all. Exhibit A. Here's the Ember messages with the Ember Nicole chick I was telling you about. Now, Ember, and this is why I know that they were also trying to use her to set JD up, is she messages him September 2023, right? When all this is going on. I owe you a huge apology. I wouldn't cooperate. They were trying to interview me and I tried to text you, but it won't go through for months now. So apparently JD blocked her, right? Crazy. And then she continues to, try to reach out. Now, JD just answers with all due respect, I have no idea why somebody would want to interview about me. I've done nothing wrong. I can't worry about things I can't control. Too many things to worry about. She said, understandable. I heard it was a bogus rumor. He said, I can't do anything about bogus rumors, Yep, that's why I told them I'm not the one. We became friends. That's it. Yep, that's why and any other questions? They didn't like that. And he just said, I hope you're well. And that's it. And they said, oh, you're living there? Nice. I go to the gym. I still go to the gym. And then she, keeps, saying, oh, I might go to the gym at 5 when you're there. So apparently she had a little crush on Mr. Tomlinson. I was trying to get. And I think she's a little mad that he didn't want anything to do with her. That's just my theory, though. It's my theory. That's my, guesstimate. But I don't really care about her. I care about this. Vansant. So Vansant and Silo have something in common, is they both, have kind of pursued Jennifer Battistelli. Silo getting upset when he was served a cease and desist in regards to making up rumors about Jennifer in the office, not doing work and not pulling her weight or something. So clearly Vansant's effort to charm Jennifer Battistelli have been misguided. Okay. And then he brings up, Silo. I just want to read this real quick. Well, for one, he didn't finish any of his cases. I think that's important if you're going to vote for him. Like, the guy can't finish 14 cases in a year and a half. Okay, so please note that Miss Battistelli believes this criticism of her, not being in the office all the time was directly attributable to Tony Silo, indeed. According to Miss Battistelli, when she was employed in this office, she was forced to remove the extra chair in her cubicle due to the inordinate amount of time that Tony Silo spent sitting in it. She claims that after failing to respond to his attempts to get to know her better, he ignored her and began defaming her to others, even to the extent that the attorney was compelled to serve Silo with a demand of cease and desist. Miss Battistelli believes that this animus towards her is what drives his attacks on me. So we got the guy that filed the charges against her is reaching out, soliciting nudes, trying to talk to her, apparently has some kind of feelings for her, according to this letter. And then the other guy that's running against the JD Tomlinson had some kind of infatuation with her. When she didn't reciprocate that little, exchange, he gets upset, starts talking about her. She has served him a cease and desist. So conflicted. Now you got this other guy who's like, he thinks he's going to be like a new social influencer who's been bitching about signs, and nobody cares about your right of way issue or anything like that. You're not like saving some day to get rid of some yard signs. Nobody cares. This guy also told me personally out of his mouth that he wanted to sleep with Jennifer Battistelli, that he would sleep with her. I would sleep with her. Like, all of these guys seem to have some kind of infatuation with this woman, and whatever, to each his own. But like, this is ridiculous. So he ends the letter with, and I read this already. Go back to the previous episode if you want to hear the whole thing, or just go online and read it yourself. But I put my comments in on the last episode too. So he said, I am familiar, however, with your investigation and the conduct of your employees. Captain Robert Vansant has continually attempted to contact Jennifer Battistelli by insisting that as an employee of my office, she was abused and exploited by me. As expressed above, I have personally seen Vansant's text messages to Miss Battistelli, and he is clearly a predator. Though Miss Battistelli has repeatedly told Vansant that my relationship with her was not combative or exploitative, he continues to allege it, notwithstanding that he has continued to attempt to pursue a personal relationship with her. I am confident that the examination of Vansant's telephone history, forensic or otherwise, would furnish each of us with enough information to conduct an investigation right into your own office. So he's saying to Sheriff Smitty, like, this is on the borderline corrupt. Both Vansant and Tony still have contacted women I date and have dated solely for the purpose of attempting to pry some report from them that alleges abuse or some kind of other scandalous behavior on my part. As set forth above, they have gone as far as contacting Jennifer Battistelli's former hairdresser, Alicia Quinn, again for the purpose of attempting to wrestle some fictitious tale of infamy regarding my treatment of women. Silo, however, has not stopped. He recently sent a Facebook message to the woman I'm currently dating, chastising her for associating with me. I do not believe that you would characterize this type of pandering as law enforcement. I feel that you were unaware that any of the foregoing nonsense was occurring in your office. Call me, J.D. Tomlinson. Well, 4 months after this, Vansant file is starting to investigate Tomlinson's office, and something happened in August. I forget what it was. Oh, the court cases, the cases filed, the CRVs. Cases were filed in municipal court against the prosecutor regarding this stupid special prosecutor. Then they wait 2 months to file, a week before early election starts, they wait to file these charges of intimidation, bribery, and tampering with evidence against Burge and JD. And, Vansant uses the excuse that was quoted in the news that, it was over this $100,000 payment. The payment was approved by the commissioners, yes. But after the commissioners approved that payment, it goes to the county auditor people. And this is where some people don't understand the process. So, yeah, the commissioners relied on his attorneys and everything to do this payment. I went over the last episode why that payment was necessary. It saved us money. If our insurance would have, said no, you can't always, just because you're innocent, you can't always rely on the court to do that. There's other circumstances involved. It was a quick, easy go away. You know what I mean? Now, the bigger issue here is the conspiring, is the working together to try to extort something, some kind of, assignment of a special prosecutor to investigate other elected officials. You have Battistelli now claiming that she was abused, even though the whole time that she was working, she never stated anything about sexual abuse. She waited till 2 months after she was out of a job to went over all the falsehoods there. Went over the fault. She admitted she lied. She admitted she lied. She admitted that just the word discrimination was never used. Now that JD is running for office, and I don't think Tony Silo is doing that while these charges are filed. And once again, it's the behavior. If they're going to do this to a prosecutor who doesn't give them their way, what do you think that the sheriff's office is going to do to a normal citizen? when you do something they don't like, when you cross their hairs some way. It's not going to be good, people. But what is going on here is not a corrupt prosecutor. Absolutely not. And if you were a Republican, I urge you to do what I'm doing for the first time this year, not just voting our. My daughter's standing in front of the Wi-Fi. Hold on, she's moving. Okay, she just moved, so it's gonna pop back. Come on, come on. There it goes. She needs to move. Get out of my way. Easy. Anyways, my issue here is that these people, Captain Vansant, Michelle Hung, Sheriff Stimity, have all, probably, others, and I know others because of my murder map, have all conspired together to go after the right thing when he just did not get involved and said, I'm not getting involved here. You don't have enough evidence. You're not giving me what I need to even do what you want me to do for you. And what you say you're investigating, period, is just questionable in itself. They now start interviewing girlfriends and getting his ex-girlfriend to file trumped up charges on him right before an election. This is an example of election interference. And, Michelle said it herself yesterday, he didn't look into stuff that me and others were asking him to look into. So don't be so quick to believe that, it's easy to join the hate, to join the, this is corrupt, that's corrupt, and, people saying this corrupt, that corrupt, that corrupt. I would urge you to look into the situation deeper. I would urge you to go to my website and, do some research. I wrote an article that kind of covers this. There's another article posting about this arrest in itself, something to bring the Democrats and Republicans together in Lorain County. We don't need to go back 30 years. That's not good. It's not good for the county. It's not good for us. This is corruption. This is ridiculous. This is the behavior of some of this small group of people is absolutely ridiculous. And we deserve better. And if they're going to go after a prosecutor, what are they going to do to you? And the choice here in 2024 is, do you want a prosecutor or do you want a persecutor? With J.D. Tomlinson, you're going to get a prosecutor. You're going to get just, somebody that enjoys his job. He's doing what he needs to do. He's building up morale. Maybe he's a single guy, guys. He's going to date people. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's a thing. I don't really care about people's sex life. People are too on that. Way too focused on the sex thing. You know what I mean? The reason I cared about Michelle... Hold on, these kids keep walking in front of my stuff. The reason I keep commenting about Michelle is because she hired Harry while she was sleeping with him while she was married. And then they tried to do all this stuff with CCI, which I'm not going to get into. But I have talked your ear off enough. We're at 2 hours, and I didn't even think it was going to be that long. But J.D. Tomlinson's innocent here. I have no doubt that he's going to prove his innocence. He came off very confident. But the bigger story here is, here's another example. Here's another victim of Michelle Hung and Sheriff Stimity and Captain Vansant weaponizing and politicizing their offices, using their color of official right, under the color of official right to, which is Hobbs Act, by the way, RICO, Hobbs Act, look up that, Hobbs Act, RICO, to conspire to extort the prosecutor's office for a special prosecutor. And when he wouldn't do it, they defamed him. They smeared him. I should play the video. That's what I'm going to do. We're going to end with this. For one, I'm going to play the Hung thing one more time just for you guys to listen to what she says now that we discuss everything that we discussed. And then I'm going to play what they did to him. This is with Nancy Pelosi in 2018. says it's a smear, it's a wrap-up smear. And a wrap-up smear is you put something out in the news about them, you know what I mean? And then people will go, and you're going to hear what they say, but she calls it a wrap-up smear. So I'm going to play the hung thing and then the wrap-up smear, and then you guys enjoy your weekend. My article will be posted in the morning. Tomorrow morning I'll be on just for a quick cup of coffee with you guys, and we're going to go through my murder map, which is, remember my murder map? Show my murder map. But I like somebody that called it, now I'm just stealing it. Murder map. We're gonna go over this. I've been teasing you guys for way too long with it. And then Sunday night I'll be joining you before early voting. So the day before early voting starts, I'll be joining you on Sunday, and we will be going over the last part of my radio controversy, my RICO, my Lorain County RICO. And I'm going to go over how you guys can help me with my request to get an investigator from the state level or federal to look at this. I'm thinking it's a when you get organized crime, something, anyways. But we'll go over that on Sunday, and I will see you guys in the morning just for 30 minutes real quick. We're going to go over that murder map. That murder, well, I should call it the radio map, the radio murder map, and more. But you guys have a good weekend, and thank you for taking your time to just listen. And I know it's a lot, but it's all relevant. Check out my documents. Check out what they say. We have a bad apple in the sheriff. We have a couple bad apples in the sheriff's department. The whole's not bad, but we gotta fix the bad, And we need to support our prosecutor right now. Republican, Democrats. It's time to come together. It's about the candidates, not about politics at this point. It's the weaponization of the office. So you guys enjoy your weekend and watch these 2 clips, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.
County Commissioner Michelle Hung says Tomlinson has repeatedly refused to look into issues she and others have raised and believes Lorain County does not have a prosecutor. Fellow Commissioner Dave Moore says the timing of the charges are suspect. He calls the situation bad for everyone and says it paints the county in an unflattering light.
All right, I got one more for you guys, and then I'm going out. I gotta play it because it's the wrap-up smear, and it was like just perfect timing that I found this. Hold on, I know I shared it on here. Give me a second, I'm gonna find it. Come on, Nancy, where are you? I don't like Nancy, but this was just so good. Oh, come on. Maybe it's on my profile. Hold on. She's like, it's called a wrap-up smear. And I'm like, oh, this is what they're doing. All right, hold on. I'm going to find it. Shh, here it is. I'm going to share the screen. Give me a second. I share way too much stuff. Here we go. All right, let's do this. Jesus Christ. Here we go. Found it. Look, I told you guys I was going to find it, and I found it. Here we go. Share screen, share audio, entire screen, share audio, this screen, share. I'm going to mute myself.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk about politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody. With falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made.
Flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. Use that to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe.
Tell me that's not relevant. All right. I've taken up too much of your time. Go enjoy your Friday, enjoy your weekend, and I will talk to you all soon. And you guys stay blessed and have a good weekend. I'll talk to you. Oh, and I forgot, stay focused. I always say that. Stay focused, Lorain County. Stay focused, Ohio. Stay focused, everybody. Don't feed into the nonsense. Thank you for joining me today on Mean Street. I hope you enjoyed the show. I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider supporting our work and supporting my effort. You can support directly underneath at the Spotify donations, or you can directly give a donation at paypal.me/Mean Street, Ohio. Any donation received will help me continue to provide news to you and everyone else across Ohio and beyond. I love what I do, and I just hope to continue to do it. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day. With money as well, which is why she's trying to sue the county again, which gets me to the Vansant thing. Vansant has been trying to